Hello, lovely geometry students. Welcome to lesson 4.04, rectangle properties. Today, our learning goal is I can apply the properties of rectangles to solve for missing values and make inferences. Do now, math talk. We're gonna go over this live in class or play it on your own, try it out. A, see rectangle EFGH below. B, do you agree with the statement? Let's underline this. If one angle in a rectangle is right, trace over that if you have colored pencils. All the other angles must also be right. Justify your answers. You will need handout 4.04 cap 4.02 parallelogram properties to help you with this. And try out C. Which statements do you agree with? Justify. Play once you're ready to check your answers. B. Do you agree with the statement? If one angle is right in a rectangle, the other angles must also be right? Yes, because if you look at 4.02, your annotated notes, we know that consecutive angles are supplementary. So angles that are side by side, A and B, equals 180 degrees. So if angle E is 90 degrees, then F has to be 90 degrees because 90 plus 90 equals 180. If angle E is 90 degrees, H must also be because these are consecutive angles and they are supplementary. So yes, you could test out all the vertices. Consecutive angles are, that's an angle notation. Are all rectangles parallelograms? Yes, because both sides are parallel and congruent. And if we know that one side is parallel and congruent, it is a parallelogram. Any one of the properties from 4.02 needs to be true. But all parallelograms are not rectangles because rectangles must have a right angle. Here we could see that one is obtuse, the other is acute, so no right angles. So check X or cross it out. Let's move on. Key concepts, rectangle properties. Number one, rectangles have all the properties of a parallelogram. Consecutive angles are supplementary. And the diagonals are congruent. So EG is congruent to FH. The major differences between rectangles and parallelograms are that rectangles have right angles, 90 degrees, and the diagonals are congruent congruent, and they bisect each other. So these diagonals are congruent, but also these bisected lengths are also congruent. Example 1, draw a model. The lengths of the diagonals of a rectangle cache are represented by 7x centimeters and 5x plus 12 centimeters. Find the length of each diagonal. So on the regents, likely you will have to model a quadrilateral. And don't forget, we have to go clockwise or counterclockwise. Don't jump the diagonal. You have to hit all the bases, just like baseball. And it's talking about the diagonals. Our 7x I'm going to draw our handy brackets. So this is 7x, and the bottom here is 5x plus 12. So what do we know about the diagonals? Property 3, diagonals are congruent. So I'm going to use letters. The diagonal CS is congruent to AH. And then I'm just going to substitute the algebraic expressions. 7x is equal to CS, and 5x plus 12 is equal to, swaparoo. Doesn't matter because they're congruent. But to be precise, CS is 5x plus 12 and AH is 7x. So we're going to apply our algebra skills. There are two terms with the x, so we're going to look at the smaller 5x. We're going to subtract it on both sides. I bring down whatever we didn't use. 12 is equal to 2x. And our last step to get the variable alone, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I divide by both sides by the coefficient, and x is equal to 6. Now, we need to find the length of each diagonal. So we need to substitute. So I'll do it over here. 7 times 6 is going to be 42. And let's double check the other equation. Substitute 6 in for x. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 12 is 42, so I know my answer is correct. The diagonal length is 42 centimeters. Example 2, using the Pythagorean theorem. A builder is building a rectangular deck with the dimension of 16 by 30 feet. So some of you guys will buy your own home one day, and you might want to build some stuff. Your deck will be 30 feet by 16 feet. To ensure that the sides form 90-degree angles, what should each diagonal measure? So I'm going to trace the diagonal. We know that the opposite side lengths are congruent. So if the shorter side is 16, the other side is 16 also, feet. And we can apply the Pythagorean theorem here. The legs will be A and B. And if we solve for C, that'll give us the diagonal, the hypotenuse. So step 1, write the Pythagorean theorem. We know we can use this because it's for right triangles as a 90 degrees. And we know that we can decompose a rectangle into triangles. I'm going to substitute the legs, the two sides 16, 30 that touch the right angle, they're adjacent. I'm going to use my handy dandy calculator. I encourage you to download this app, Calc84. This is the same model you'll use at the Regents, so 16x squared plus 30 squared equals 1,156. To find the square root, use the second square root. And then the side length is 34. The Regents will throw in random Pythagorean theorem problems, so apply what you know. Go ahead and do the check 1, check 2. Make sure you get a Stampo before you move on, and aim to get above level 2. Good job, guys. Use your notes. I'll see you next time.